And from Wild Fig Marketing, we are celebrating our 10th year in business this year. And I thought it'd be really fun to interview Kari, our founder, and learn a little bit more about how she started the business and what the goals are for the future. Hi, Kari.
Hey, good to see you, my dear.
Good to see you. So I thought it'd be fun to ask you a couple of questions. The first one, how did Wild Fig come to be?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I've always been kind of a serial entrepreneur, and even when I was in college, thinking about starting my own business and what would that be. And so before I had kids, I ended up running my own wedding planning business along with my mom, and quickly realized that that was a pretty intense business, especially since we ran one weekend. We had 6 different weddings, and I was like 8.5 months pregnant. So at that point, I realized, maybe this is something kind of that entrepreneurial dream. I'm going to have to put this on hold for a little bit. And so I had various positions. And then as the kids got a little older, I was the marketing director at an accounting firm. And I was kind of at a point where I wasn't super happy. I kind of had that itch to do something and to start my own business again. And so I started it on the side, just doing more marketing consulting with different business owners that I knew. And then it started to grow. And I was kind of getting to that point where I was like, okay, it's almost equal from a revenue standpoint, or like closer to my salary. And I'm going to make that switch. And before that happened, we had the recession. Oh, and the accounting firm had to make some changes, and I was excited on one hand that they were letting me go, because then I got to do something that I really wanted. But it was also probably one of the most terrifying times in my life, because all of a sudden that safety net was gone, and it was like, holy crap, you got to do this, you got to make it happen. So that's how Wild Fig came to be.
That's an amazing story. It's crazy how we rely on those safety nets, but I'm glad you took the plunge. It's awesome. Yeah. Now here we are 10 years later.
Yep. Yeah. It was one of those things where I think, looking back, if it hadn't happened, I don't know if I would have just kind of burned myself out, just trying to do, both at the same time, waiting for it, that revenue to match, which I think barely ever happens, to
right.
businesses. So it was kind of that much needed, push off the ledge that I needed. So
great.
It turned out to be a blessing.
Yes, for sure. So a question I get all the time is, how did you come up with the name Wild Fig Marketing? So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So actually, when we first launched, we were called Magnetic Marketing Solutions. And long story short, we've been using LinkedIn a lot from a marketing perspective, and had really grown an online presence with LinkedIn throughout the world, and ended up bumping into another company that is out of New York that also had trademarked the logo and the word magnetic with a K. And so I think that was about 2 years into the business, we got a call from them saying, hey, you need to change, cease and desist, you need to change your name within the next 3 weeks, otherwise, litigation. So you could about imagine the pressure to try to come up with a creative name. And it was kind of cool, because at that point, I really wanted something that represented who we are and what we're all about. And from the very beginning, I've always been focused on attraction and retention. So having equal parts of both when it comes to your marketing. So if you work really hard to develop a good customer base, you don't want to lose that. You want to, continue to nurture those relationships while also attracting new. So we look for a symbol that really kind of best represented that kind of nurture growth. And we thought about a tree. And so I started doing some research and came across the wild fig tree, and found out that the wild fig tree in South Africa has the deepest roots of any tree in the world, with roots extending over 465 feet deep.
Wow.
So it was kind of a cool visual to think about, those roots are deep. So that's the retention part. But then as that tree continues to grow, it kind of branches out, right? So you're getting more referrals, more new business. And then, of course, there's a bunch of different things tied back to kind of the history of fig trees, and being a symbol of really kind of growth and positivity. So that's how we got our name.
That's awesome. You should travel someday and get a picture in front of a fig tree.
I have actually I've gotten a couple pictures in Santa Barbara, and in Georgia. And I've actually never even eaten a fig though. That's a sad part. That's on my list.
Awesome. Okay, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, this is a pretty easy one for me. And it's funny because it took me so long to learn it. One of the things that I hear, as a business owner, and I'm in various, or I've been in various business, groups, CEO groups throughout the career of Wild Fig. And so many people talked about like not hiring employees, like, oh, don't do it. It's such a huge time suck. And it's like the worst thing on the planet. And I had contractors, up until like a few years into the business. And then when my husband came on board, we started talking about like kind of growth, and the only way to really grow, like I'm only one person, right, is to hire. And I was so nervous about it, but I honestly think it was the best decision. I mean, obviously we have awesome people that we work with, but we would have never gotten to this point had we not hired. And I think back, like if I had hired earlier, as long as it's the right people, right? If I had hired earlier, we probably would have been further along than we are now. So for me, like having employees, having a team of people that are passionate about the work that they do and helping our clients has been one of the most rewarding things. And like I said, I wish I would have done it sooner, but can't take that back. So everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. Well, this might tie in directly with that. So what is one piece of advice you would give to someone else who's contemplating starting a new business?
Yeah, I think, one of the things people get excited. I know when I first launched the business, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you have just the most ideal life as an entrepreneur. You get to like run your own business, like set your own schedule. And I would joke all the time and say, well, yeah, I get to decide like which 80 hours of the week I want, to work, and when I'll work that, but I'm putting in a ton of time. And so I would say that if someone's contemplating starting a business, you really need to give yourself 3 years, like commit to 3 years uh, of kind of like blood, sweat, and tears, right? I mean, it's the high, I always say it's like a roller coaster ride. Like the highs are high, the lows are low, and you love the time when you spent kind of in the middle, right? So I think committing to 3 years and then really doing your research, like making sure that you've got a viable product or service that you're bringing in, and that what's going to set you apart in the marketplace, so that you start with that right from the beginning. I think that's probably like my best advice for people.
Awesome. That's great advice. Thank you. What is your favorite part of owning your own business? You just get to set your own schedule?
Yeah, I get to choose which 80 hours I want to work.
Right.
I would say probably, I've never been one. I'm a total outside the box thinker. And as you know, I'm both blessed and cursed with no shortage of ideas at any given point in time. And so I think for me, I love being able to, change directions, or like, hey, we want to provide this new service, or go out and help this particular, group of people. I don't have to go bring that to, a committee or sit in like 18 corporate meetings, before we can make that decision. So the ability to pivot quickly and just do different things, I think has been probably one of the things I like the most. In addition to, if you think about it, if you're at another job, like I have the ability to kind of set, my future. So if I want to work really hard and grow the business and kind of continue to build my team, I can do that. Or if I want to just, get to a certain point and coast, I can do that too. So I think just that freedom to really kind of set your future.
Awesome. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
What would you say is your key to success?
My key to success, I would say, is learning. As you know, I'm an avid reader and Audible listener. I think on average, listen and read about 75 books a year. So I think that there's always opportunities to learn and grow. And like, it doesn't matter what I'm listening to, if it's something that's, more personal development versus professional development, those lines are quite blurred. So it's something that can benefit me in both. So I think that's been probably one of my biggest keys to success, in addition to surrounding yourself with like awesome people that are also successful. So I'm a part of a lot of organizations like Businesswomen's Circle, things like that, where we're getting other female entrepreneurs together. And so being able to learn from them, being able to bounce ideas off of them, I think those are some of the keys, I would say, to my success.
For sure. Surrounding yourself with the right people is definitely a good thing.
Yes.
What is one of the biggest lessons you've learned over the last 10 years?
So this one's kind of fun. I actually wrote a blog article about it a while back, but I think just being honest and being authentic. So way back when I worked at the accounting firm, I had put together this campaign that we were marketing to new prospects. And as part of it, it had, like 6 different steps along the way. And so as we got to the end of that campaign, I was like, I think it was like step number 5 was to send this piece of mail to them. And it was a lumpy piece of mail. It actually had a piece of gum in there. And it was like, here's something to chew on. It was super cheesy, but you're trying to market accounting to people. So you have to try to get through to them, right? And I was so excited, like the next step was going to be like the call to them. So I send out this piece of mail, and I find out they get a returned, like not a return to sender, they get postage due. So here's all these prospects that I've been marketing to. And then they get notification that they have something waiting for them at the mail, like the post office, that they have to go to the post office and pay for in order to get this mail. And here it's like a solicitation, right? I was mortified.
I'm sure.
I thought, you know what, I could have just not said anything, about it to my boss and just gone on with it. But I was like, you know what, I need to like fess up. I need to own it. It wasn't my issue. I had actually brought it to the post office and had them weigh it, and they told me the incorrect amount. So that being said, I was like, I got to fix this. So I went and found like a funny cartoon about like the post office, something that wasn't like bashing them, but it was just kind of humor about the post office. I wrote a letter apologizing to all of these prospects. And then within each one of them, I put like a crisp dollar bill, because I think they had to pay like 60 cents or something like that. So I put a crisp dollar bill in there and just kind of made light of it. Like, hey, life happens, and my sincere apologies. And the coolest part about that is number one, just being honest, like it was a mistake. And then, being authentic, like, hey, here's my fun way to kind of apologize. It got a ton of results. So it was our most impactful part of the campaign. So it all ended up working out for the best. But I think just remembering that we're all human, people do business with people, and being authentic to, kind of who you are, I think is probably the biggest lesson that I've learned along the way.
That's awesome. It also proves that honesty is the best policy.
That's true. That's true. I keep telling my teenage boys that as well.
So businesses and people in general were thrown quite a curveball with the pandemic. If you had a crystal ball and you could predict the future of marketing, what would you say?
Yeah, I think, for so many businesses, and I don't remember what the statistic was, but we recently were on a call with HubSpot, and they were talking about like how many businesses had to like basically flip a switch and go from like maybe they hadn't been doing any online marketing to we're all in quarantine. Like you got to be able to, figure out how to sell your products and services like almost overnight. So
Right.
Something that would have normally a transition for even small to medium-sized businesses, this would probably take them, 1 to 3 years to kind of get them up to speed. Literally did that within probably 60 days. And so because of that, obviously like how we as consumers purchase things is changing a lot. We're actually seeing more and more people that are now comfortable with, maybe weren't comfortable before with buying online, are now going to that. So we're seeing tons of companies that are going to be investing even more into their online marketing presence. Your website is truly critical at this point, right? Like making sure that you've got good information on there that's going to help, kind of set you apart from your competitors. Also, we're seeing a lot of trends where people are investing more money in email marketing, which, we hear sometimes people are like, email marketing is dead. It's like, no, it's not. It's becoming, bigger and bigger because that's how we, are able to communicate with people. And what we're finding though, that because there's so so much, there's so many companies are investing so many dollars into their online marketing, into their email, into their website, is that you really have to stand out, from the noise and be able to cut through that. So companies are starting to do more with like taking a look at like their brand and their voice and making sure that that's being heard. Like, what can they do to like set themselves apart? Or if you're looking at your competitors, be seen as someone different. And so we're seeing a lot with that, where really truly their personalities are coming through. They're trying some new things, and their goal is to really build that trust with those consumers. So that's going to be a big thing, especially if we can't necessarily see each other face to face. Your online presence really truly is becoming a critical piece in marketing. So I think we're going to see more and more companies investing dollars. So like I said, making sure that you know what sets you apart from your competitors, and that you're really highlighting that on your website.
Awesome. Well, congrats on a super successful career so far, 10 years in business. And any other closing remarks, comments?
No, I'm just excited for when we finally get to have a party and get everybody together. So
Stay tuned for that, right?
yeah, exactly. Like hopefully still this year at some point. But no, it's been an awesome ride, and I'm so thankful for you, for all the members of our team, and for all the people that I've met along the way who helped us to get to this point. So looking forward to celebrating, and thank you for this opportunity as well.
Awesome.